Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
Much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the hold on. I got everything ready except that. I might need that. Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Kello Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage. Oh, that's not a good sign, right? That's not a good sign. Let's get rolling. The president is talking more. He said today that the U.S. is going to receive total access to Greenland under this framework deal that I told you about on the show this morning. Excuse me. He says, we're talking about negotiating it right now. Essentially, it's total access. This is what he told Maria Bartiromo at Fox News. He said, there's no end, there's no time limit. So he also ruled out using military force to get Greenland. He said, everything comes over Greenland. If the bad guys start shooting, it comes over Greenland. It's pretty invaluable. It's amazing. I think this is absolutely incredible. And what the president just said is why. If the shooting starts, it all comes over Greenland. And so having Greenland really means more strength. That Golden Dome for the United States, I think it just really, really is important. Let's see if he said, he also threatened Denmark. I saw this. Denmark is threatening then to sell its U.S. Treasury holdings if this moves forward. So if the United States does this, they're going to sell their U.S. Treasury holdings. That would be bad for the United States. And the president said, if that happened, there'd be big retaliation on our part, and we have all the cards. So if Denmark were to do that, the president's saying, yeah, we're not going to allow that. We're not going to allow you to move forward with that. The president also says today that the leaders of Iran want to talk, he says. This is following, and I don't know how closely you may have watched those demonstrations that were taking place in Iran. There were a number of deaths that occurred as well, and they are, they've become Trumpers. Some of these people who are out there, they're really focused on Donald Trump. And so the president called for new leadership in Iran. He accused the Ayatollah of the complete destruction of the country and the use of violence at levels never seen before. Wall Street Journal reported Tuesday that the president had asked aides to present options for decisive military action against Iran, but that doesn't, so he's asked them for it, doesn't mean he'll employ it. I don't think there's anything new there. The president also, while he is over in Davos, meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine, and the president says it was good. So the two of them met. They did not take questions. They did not pose for photos. But the president said, I think the meeting was good. He reiterated his belief that the war between Russia and Ukraine has to end. That's been going on almost 4 years now. Yeah, it has to end, the president says. We hope it's going to end. President's been very hopeful, I think, throughout this, but trying to see if there were any comments from Zelensky that may have been reported. Steve Witkoff said this morning at a Davos breakfast meeting that a lot of progress has been made. He's the special peace envoy, Steve Witkoff. He said one outstanding issue remained, but he wouldn't say what it was. He said if both sides want to solve this, we're going to get it solved. I think that's been the question, though, all along. Do both sides want to solve that? I have not been convinced, and I've said this on the air a number of times, as well as here. I have not been convinced that Russia actually wants to solve that conflict. I just don't see it. I have hope that I'm wrong, but I think if Russia were interested in that, we would see some indications, and we really have not seen anything along those lines. This story kind of freaked me out a little bit. It's about the assassination culture and who is it that is most affected by and part of, signs on to the assassination culture. You'd think it was men, right? You'd think it was, as I would. I mean, men typically, historically, have been, more violent, more outspoken, loudmouths. And I could go on. Perhaps some of you will, but no, it's women. It's women who are embracing this assassination culture. So, for instance, like the Luigi Mangione, who took the life of the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, and the killer, who this is just wild. Forgive me, names flew right out of my head. The assassination of Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson, so this research is coming from the Network Contagion Research Institute, the NCRI. And they said, I thought we'd be seeing a bunch of guys who are unemployed who'd be endorsing this, he said. So they've been tracking this issue of assassination culture, and they've been doing it since before Charlie Kirk's death. And a White House spokeswoman said, as the survivor of 2 assassination attempts, recently watching his dear friend Charlie be assassinated, no one understands the dangers of political violence more than President Trump, she said. That's why following Charlie's assassination, President Trump delivered powerful and unifying remarks urging all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died. The values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. And I think I want to try to model those in my own life. I really do. And I said as much to you following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that how, for me, the impact of that personally was a resurgence of my own Christian beliefs, my own Christian Catholic values that really have bubbled up in me. That's been going on for the last number of years anyway, especially since my stroke. That was, you have a near-death experience, at least it felt to me like it was a near-death experience. That's how it felt. You go through something like that, and it really gives you a new perspective on the way you look at things and the way you view the world. And then you see the assassination of Charlie Kirk and how that happened, and just so shocking. But what the researchers are finding, they're saying that there are 3 things in common with people most likely to condone political violence. He said, I thought we were looking for unemployed men and young men. And that's not what we're seeing. because they spend a lot of time on social media. They believe the United States is an empire in decline. They're more than likely to be female. We see these lurid images of Luigi Mangione that have been packaged into some kind of sexual symbol. And I think that we may be seeing some downstream effects of that on people who use social media a lot, on females. So for females who are on social media a lot, now this worries me. I have 2 daughters who are on social media a lot. And it gets concerning. So the study found support for violence higher among women, but the suspect in each of those cases was a male. So it's kind of crazy. So it's men who would commit it. It's women who will more enthusiastically support that kind of violence. And where is that? This story is at Fox News this morning, foxnews.com. Excuse me. So they looked into tolerance for violence, not intent to commit it. So what's your tolerance for violence? And I think part of that also, I think you've got to admit, is the absence of Judeo-Christian values in the American culture. The serious decline of Judeo-Christian values, and where there's an absence of God, where people do not feel God in their souls, in their hearts, in their minds. They are not focused on God. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we reap. It's not all that shocking, at least not to me. Also, I wanted to share this with you this morning. Mexico flooding the United States with Marxist anti-American textbooks, trying to weaken the United States, and also to try to prevent people from assimilating into the United States. What do we talk about? When it comes to immigration, I am very open to that idea. I love seeing people come into the country. Got some wonderful callers. They're regular listeners. They're regular callers of the Greg Belfrage Show. They are not, they're naturalized citizens. So they become citizens, but they were born in other countries. And they love, if you meet and get to know naturalized citizens, some of them that I've met, they are among the warmest, most, they love this country. They're glad to be here. They're grateful. They're just filled with that kind of sense. So now you put out these textbooks, and this is coming out of Mexico, especially down in the American Southwest. And there's a book that's been written on this. Peter Schweitzer has written a book called The Invisible Coup: How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. And so he writes about this. He says that there's a massive network already in place, especially in the American Southwest, and territories that were lost then to the United States, and that there's still hard feelings. And this is one of the, what he discusses in the book is that you start indoctrinating people when they're children. So you start indoctrinating these children, you start getting this into textbooks, and this is going on. This is happening. So he says Mexico does not want young migrants in the United States to be loyal to the United States. It wants them to instead cling to Mexico's resentments about America, he says. And then it accomplishes this by invading our classrooms. Local U.S. school administrators, either out of ignorance or sympathy for the cause, are happy to oblige. And I would say like most, and you can find that story at Breitbart if you want to read more on that. And again, the name of the book is The Invisible Coup: How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. I think he's absolutely right. And I don't know that he says, you see local schools that wind up incorporating this, and he says either out of ignorance. No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's out of ignorance that we see this hatred of America. And for the life of me, I can't imagine this. I mean, as an older guy, I'm 62 years old. I've always had a love of country. I was raised with in school, and there was never any talk about it. I mean, it was just assumed. I loved the country. I loved learning about the country. That kind of excitement. So aiming this at people who are coming into the country so that they don't assimilate, so that they don't become then identify as Americans. They want them identifying with Mexicans and Mexico and harboring this resentment. And that's what's so amazing to me. The number of people and groups and I don't think it's all about, I think there are those who are using that resentment for their own reasons. So they've got their own agenda, and those who harbor resentment, man, they're easy targets. It's easy to get them, it's easy to instill hatred. It's easy to get that all worked up. But for the life of me, I just don't understand that the hatred that people carry around. I understand why some want to take advantage of that, but to be that, it's just makes absolutely no sense to me. And I can't imagine living your life that way. You can't. You're not happy. You're miserable. You want to make everybody else miserable right along with you. It's absolutely unproductive. And I'm thinking specifically of YouTube, those of you watching on YouTube right now. YouTube is full of that. I've had several who have commented on the Facebook page, Brian in particular, Brian the Garbage Man, shout out. In particular, but man, the comments on YouTube, wow, I just, but folks, you got to blow it off, especially those of you watching on YouTube. Every now and then, doesn't happen every day. Every now and then, you get these folks on YouTube, and they offer nothing of substance, because I'm very open. If somebody makes a point, I will take a look at it, and maybe it strikes something in me, right? That's about having conversation. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm still learning. So maybe somebody says something and I'm like, you made me look at that in a way that I had not considered before. I'm looking at that very, very differently because of the comment that you made. Maybe, but maybe on other things we don't agree, but at least I'm open to that. But a lot of the comment sentiment on YouTube is coming from people. They just want to come. They want to get a rise out of you. Why do you let them? I don't. So I've noticed, I always look at the comments afterward. I go back and I flip through the comments, and I want to see what you guys are saying. I want to know what's on your mind, because the lion's share of you're incredibly loyal to the show and what we're doing, and you love the country. And, I'm speaking, and I've said this on the air a number of times. I'm talking to like-minded people. Now, I know that there are people who are not like-minded who are going to wind up hearing it, but those are not the folks I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to like-minded people, because do you get the feeling, as I do, that more and more in the country right now, you just look around and you go, what in the fresh hell is going on, right? Am I the only person who looks at this and thinks this is off the wall Looney Tunes nuts? You're not. And it's one of the things that I try to do in the radio show is to let you know what? I know you're seeing that because most of you are smarter than I am. I know you're seeing that. I want you to know, yeah, I see it too. And I want you to know there's somebody out there who's pointing these things out and bringing it to your attention. So in case you miss something, hopefully then I catch it and you go, hey, I hadn't heard about that. But it's just absolutely amazing the amount of hatred and sowing that hatred and those who are just committed to doing that. Again, I realize that there are those who are doing that for their own purposes. They want control. They want to take control of people. And what better way to control them than by getting their emotions all worked up and getting them hateful and one of the things that those folks don't realize, and I've had this thought many times, is yeah, that's what they're allowing you to do right now. If the left ever truly takes over, this country, if the left ever really truly gets control of this country, you think a lot of this stuff is going to be allowed once they are in power? I beg to differ. I think you're going to see a crackdown, the likes of which is going to make ICE look like a joke. Now, I'm a supporter of ICE, but you got people running around right now about the Constitution and ICE. I mean, once the left is truly in power, I really think that they're going to grab a hold of power with both hands and you can kiss your freedoms goodbye. I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for letting me join you. You made it to the end of the video. So you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute for the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are here each and every day. They're commenting, they're engaging, and I love hearing from all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Until tomorrow, my friend, I'm underground and gone.